Well, thanks everyone for joining today. Welcome to Going from Prem to Cloud. This is the third or fourth webinar in a series of contact center webinars that Avtex is hosting. Speaking is Bob Trainer with Avtex. By title, I'm the Vice President of our contact center practice, focusing on consulting and delivery. I've been with Avtex for a little over 16 years, all of those years very much anchored to our contact center or our interactive intelligence business. Let's go ahead and dig into what we'll be discussing today. If it's going to cooperate with me, there we go. So from an agenda perspective, I always like to start off with a little bit about Avtex, just a minute or two, as I'm sure we've got some folks joining that aren't as familiar with us as others. And then we'll talk about some considerations ranging from financial to security to feature needs to system support. Throughout the remainder of the time. I want to take a little time though to talk about the evolution of this particular webinar. When this topic was initially put together more or less as a title a few months ago, the intent was really to talk in more granular or strategic areas about how to move your contact center from Prem to cloud. And as I started to dig in over the past week or so in putting together content, I found myself kind of more naturally gravitating to the question of, does it always make sense to move to the cloud? And so just to let folks know that the approach for this particular webinar has shifted a little bit for me, and it's really more of a discussion about things to consider to make the best decision for you and your organization. Hopefully that makes sense, but I wanted to share how that kind of evolved for me over the past week or two. So who is Avtex? As an organization, we've been around since the early 1970s. At that time, focusing on voice messaging and some kind of rudimentary IVR needs. In 1997 or so, we very much hitched our wagon to interactive intelligence as they were coming to market. We were absolutely one of the first partners to sign on, and the rest is history from an interactive intelligence perspective. We made a strategic merger back about 5.5 years ago with a local Microsoft consulting firm, and that really kind of helped shape the new Avtex. And from a vision and mission perspective, fairly straightforward. Our vision is to simply eliminate poor customer experiences. We very much brand ourselves as a technology-focused customer experience company, and that vision is really meant to represent that. Our mission is to use our technology know-how to enable our clients to deliver an exceptional experience to their customers. And as part of that, we've got a number of partnerships that come into play for us each and every day. Two key partnerships, however. The first is interactive intelligence, as I mentioned. We've been a partner of theirs since the late 1990s. We've been a gold partner of Microsoft, overall for 5+ years as well. And from a technologies and services perspective, our contact center or interactive intelligence business makes up about 70% of our business, with the remainder being filled by our Microsoft technologies, which can range from dynamic CRM to SharePoint to pure application development, Office 365, etc. So that's a little bit about us. So let's start talking about Prem versus cloud, or really moving from Prem to cloud, and some considerations to take into account. The first and foremost, I always think to talk about finances is always top of mind for folks. Important to remember that the move to the cloud has generally been slower than any of us really expected. And that's not just contact centers. That's really across all technologies and industries. And we think a large part of that is due to some fear, quite honestly, in the uptick of operational or subscription costs. And so as we talk about CapEx versus OpEx, it's not always as simple as to say upfront costs versus ongoing costs. We at Avtex often like to bring some additional detail into that conversation, because it really can change how a CIO or someone in senior leadership from an IT perspective approaches that decision making. A good example of that would be cost agility. With the cloud, of course, you've got tremendous opportunities to leverage cost agility, both up and down. So as you consume services, your cost increases, and of course, if your consumption decreases, then your cost decreases. And with pure cloud specifically, from Interactive Intelligence, that's very much the case. It's very much a consumption model. You use it, you pay for it. If you don't, you don't pay for it. Now, when comparing that specifically to CIC, of course, one of the benefits there is it eliminates conversations and decisions surrounding seasonal upticks in licensing. We've all been pretty good about being creative in terms of providing some of those options to our CIC customers who have seasonal spikes in business. But quite honestly, pure cloud, as an example, eliminates that conversation altogether. Retained cash and or opportunity costs. Obviously, moving to the cloud eliminates the need to, well, lessens or eliminates the need to spend cash up front on infrastructure, on security, things like that. And of course, what that does is it frees up that cash to be used elsewhere within the business. And opportunity cost is kind of an interesting concept wherein that's really defined as the value that you give up by pursuing a certain course of action. So by choosing going to the cloud, you can often free up cash to invest in other parts of the business, as I talked about. Why I bring that up twice is because the term opportunity cost was new to me as I started digging into this, and I thought that was a great part of the conversation. Subscription fees. Due to that cost agility that we've talked about, subscription fees is really an important consideration when moving to the cloud. Granted, you've got that cost agility up and down, but what's really important to look in more detail is the total cost of ownership. While the total cost of ownership may be lower over, say, 5 years when going to the cloud, you have to look at the time beyond that and where your investment is going to be to really understand where that value is going to be seen. Because at a certain point, in years 6, 7, 8, if you continue with the same approach, cloud could actually be more expensive. So you kind of got to look at it in a more granular fashion for you and your business. Data switching costs. Not often a kind of a topic top of mind for contact centers in the cloud, but it's an additional piece of information when you're talking about getting data in and out of your local or on-premises environment can be high based upon your particular configuration. And then staffing costs. We're going to talk about staffing considerations in much more detail in a slide or two. But at the end of the day, staffing costs are absolutely a consideration when moving from Prem to cloud. Your staff changes, and the associated costs can certainly change with that as well. But we'll talk about that in more detail. Here we go. Staffing changes and needs. The staffing profile of your organization is really important when considering Prem versus cloud. Obviously, if you've got an infrastructure staff that happens to be in a position to naturally turn over due to tenure, due to other things, that makes it a little bit more straightforward to be able to move to the cloud, perhaps. Evolving technical requirements. Moving from Prem to the cloud eliminates some particular technical expertise and perhaps introduces others as you look to it more from a business or project perspective. Unpredictable growth expectations. If you are in a business where you might be kind of in a cycle of mergers and acquisitions or just organic growth, and you want to be able to kind of handle that growth without having to hire, for infrastructure and networking needs, the move to the cloud might be opportune for you because you eliminate that hurdle. Focus. Focus is a great thing to bring up as part of these conversations. Cloud deployments, certainly allow your project teams to focus less on infrastructure and application delivery and really focus more on business priorities and to be able to provide insight into the data associated with that. That's a huge plus. If your company happens to have an IT team that's mature, who's had a long history of successful service delivery, then perhaps an on-premises deployment actually allows you equal focus and actually can create some ability to succeed beyond moving to the cloud. So it's really important in terms of focus to gauge your organization and quite honestly your delivery maturity to ensure your team can focus on what it excels at. Security considerations. This is really becoming a broader conversation, and at the end of the day, we're very much attached to a highly connected world where all systems are vulnerable to some extent, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. And as part of that, we've been part of many discussions where the concept or perception is really that control equates to higher security. And we would actually counter that in some ways. A recent study of 1,500 IT professionals by 451 Research found that security, compliance, and data sovereignty are the three biggest issues holding back their usage of the public cloud. And we would really counter that that's a perception versus reality conversation. And what comes into play there is the third bullet in terms of data location versus accessibility. What we feel is that data location really becomes less important in the conversation regarding security and really about access. The approach, excuse me, wait a sec. I mean, the data stored on your servers and systems, that whether you own them or not, becomes almost irrelevant based upon vulnerabilities within the access. At the end of the day, however, times are changing regarding perceptions of cloud security. As cloud becomes more and more ubiquitous, and that certainly falls in line with contact center, these conversations are starting to evolve more quickly than we would expect it, and we enjoy those conversations. And to bring this more specific to Pure Cloud as an example, Pure Cloud and Interactive Intelligence are very much dedicated to bringing the highest levels of security, both offered natively by Amazon Web Services, but by their application tier as well. That includes HIPAA, SOC 2 Types 1 and 2, PCI coming in the second half of this year, and not to mention data encryption they take incredibly seriously, and that includes data at rest, data in transit, oftentimes double, triple encrypted at all points within the transfer. Feature requirements. In this particular slide, I'm really looking at this specifically to our fine interactive intelligence customers who are on CIC today, and comparing those feature requirements to Pure Cloud in terms of making the appropriate decision. At a very high level, if you've got a straightforward, not highly sophisticated contact center environment where you're receiving calls and you're routing them via ACD, perhaps leveraging skills, but not necessarily engaging data integration points within your organization or some custom application needs, Pure Cloud is absolutely a perfect choice for you. You can deploy it quickly, you can pilot it quickly, very low cost of entry, perfect opportunity to get introduced to the cloud. From a CIC perspective, obviously that platform has been around for coming up on 20 years. It's got rich workforce management. It's got multimedia, including SMS, faxes, generic objects, which I won't go into great detail, but those allow us, from a delivery standpoint, to be creative in terms of what we're able to deliver to a work group of agents. Those things don't quite exist yet in Pure Cloud. Rich quality management is another example, wherein file attachments, keyword spotting, on live interactions, those things are all coming, but they're not quite there yet. Post-call surveys. Post-call surveys aren't currently a part of the Pure Cloud fabric, but they will be. And additional to that, outbound campaign DNC.com integration and support is coming, but not currently available. So those are just some, a collection of features that some of our contact center customers within CIC leverage and rely upon every day. And it's just important to be able to check those off as mission critical for you as you start making these decisions. But to the last bullet, I absolutely have to say that Pure Cloud is evolving ridiculously quickly. We're not even a year in on this platform, and it's been absolutely amazing to see the features released on a daily and weekly basis. And to piggyback upon that even further, Interactive Intelligence has done a fantastic job at documenting and delivering a feature matrix with target quarters and halves moving forward. And every one that I cross-checked hit the target date without question. Local integration needs. These go hand in hand a little bit with the prior slide in terms of features, but it goes a little deeper in terms of customization and integration. Do you have complex or sophisticated integrations currently in place within your premise environment? Examples of that could be pre-existing integrations to premise solutions or systems, whether it's data related or not. IVR needs. It's very common, obviously, within our CIC customer base to leverage local data for IVR consumption. While that's absolutely supported in Pure Cloud, it involves a different skill set and an additional layer of customization. And that goes hand in hand as well with the fourth bullet here, where we're talking about CTI, or computer telephony integration, application integrations. So we generally use the term CTI to represent kind of a collection of features and functionality, including screen pop, or perhaps developing a unified desktop that incorporates the UI and functionality from multiple systems, including whether it's CIC or a Pure Cloud. It's really important to once again identify the integrations that are mission critical for you moving forward to better understand and appreciate what the lift will be or not when moving from Prem to Cloud. How rich and current are the available APIs? In CIC, over the course of 20 years, the APIs have evolved and changed, and we've become really accustomed to working with those to develop creative and custom solutions for our customers. And so it's really important in general, whether we're talking about Pure Cloud or something else, is assessing really how rich that API is that's exposed by that platform. And what I can honestly say is, from a Pure Cloud perspective, the release of the API over the past month has been absolutely astounding. And they've really continued to eat their own dog food. They did this with CIC as well, wherein they actually developed the client applications utilizing the API that they developed that's publicly exposed to us as partners and to you as customers. They've absolutely done the same thing with Pure Cloud. The public API that's exposed by Pure Cloud is the same API that Interactive Intelligence has used to develop its rich web interfaces and applications to support the platform. And most importantly, Aptex is here to help. We've got multiple development teams. My own that's attached to Contact Center, wherein we have resources who can absolutely help leverage those APIs to creatively deliver solutions to you. In addition to that, we've got an entire team of Microsoft web consultants that can absolutely do the same. System support considerations. Local support staff and administration is really kind of an important component when thinking about moving from Prem to Cloud. It's often important to look at really what's the skill set that you currently have on staff that's supporting your premise solution. Is it going to be the same skill set that is required to support cloud? In many ways it is, but it changes. Today, it's not uncommon for many of our CIC customers to have kind of a layer 1 or tier 1 group of help desk folks that very much understand CIC and some of the technical kind of underpinnings of CIC. In Pure Cloud, a lot of that is really hidden from you, and it becomes more of a business team or staff that handles those initial requests and really kind of helps flesh out the items that are associated with Pure Cloud versus other environmental factors such as network, such as PC, such as conflicting applications on the desktop. So the overall team profile that's required to support Prem versus Cloud can often change. Third sub-bullet there, infrastructure and server support. Obviously, when we talk about moving from Prem to Cloud, the experience needed to not only stand up infrastructure and to support that infrastructure changes, but something that we often take for granted in terms of server support and patching, updating, upgrades themselves that you often leverage Aptex for. Those are often eliminated entirely by moving to Pure Cloud. other than bridge server as a particular component, which really requires no triage at all, there's really no local footprint that requires any infrastructure experience or expertise. And from an update and upgrade perspective, those are absolutely eliminated. Our CIC customers, of course, are accustomed to the upgrade cycle of moving from perhaps 3.0 to 4.0 or 4.0 to 2016 Q or R2 as an example. All of those types of conversations really go away, wherein interactive intelligence is managing those updates for you and allowing you to partake in those or not. Partner relationship. Your partner relationship from a support perspective is critical as well. And as part of that, our role as a partner has certainly evolved when supporting our pure cloud customers versus our premise customers. We don't have the same type of access to system level needs that we have within CIC. And so that's really shaped, how we approach, system support for our pure cloud customers entirely. Even though we're identified as Tier 1 and Tier 2, and we absolutely provide value there, what that team has largely evolved into, in addition to that, is, working through, rudimentary MAC changes or moves, adds, and changes, some small configuration changes, perhaps some additional escalation and interfacing with interactive intelligence support as needed if it becomes more of a native pure cloud or AWS triaging opportunity. So it's really kind of reshaped how some of our team has been skilled and grown as well. And then of course the manufacturer relationship, and in this case it's interactive intelligence, is key. Avtex is every year considered the first or second partner in the world in terms of our ability to not only sell the business but to support the business, and we take a lot of pride in that. So at this point we've got about 6 minutes left. I want to open it up to questions, and then once that's completed I can talk very briefly about what we intend to be the next webinar in the later part of June. But at this point, I'm happy to entertain questions as you guys have them. Haha, thank you for the typo on HIPAA. Appreciate that. I think that came from our good friends at Delta Dental, so thank you for that. See, I think I see another one coming in. Hold on. You mentioned a bridge server. Is that for local telco connection to pure cloud? No, but I'm glad you mentioned that because that actually can introduce another appliance. Bridge server is actually, it's optional, but it comes in really handy to bridge, thus the name, bridge pure cloud to your local environment from a data integration perspective. So a good example of that we advocate for just out of the gate, whether you have kind of advanced data integration needs or not, would be to leverage bridge server for Active Directory synchronization and integration back to pure cloud. That particular connector allows us to import users very quickly into pure cloud with all of the rich Active Directory type information attached to those users. So bridge server is very much about bridging pure cloud to your local environment for data needs. In terms of local telco connection to pure cloud, if you choose to go that route as opposed to using pure cloud voice, which is an interactive intelligence provided telephony service, there is an appliance that would be required local to your site called the Edge server. And that is really meant to terminate your local telco to that can ultimately get translated back to pure cloud. But that's just an appliance. It's not even really an open Windows server. Good question. I think I see another one here. Is there a roadmap with timeline of feature availability for cloud? Absolutely, and it's been really a matrix, a feature matrix that was publicly presented at the onset of the platform mid-year last year, and it continues to evolve. So that is, if it's not publicly available, it can be available just simply through a request from Avtex, but I believe it's currently available publicly. It might be partner focused, but if you're a current Avtex customer, we're happy to provide that to you, and that's something that we keep an eye on, weekly, quite frankly, to gauge where certain features are at. And to my comment I made earlier, every feature that we've been trying to track has been released on time to date, and that's been just a pleasant surprise. Great question, though. So there is absolutely a roadmap that we can share with you individually. From the data management side, will there be any additional support webinars to helping transition to gathering data from the API? Boy, great timing on that question. So we've currently got a webinar scheduled for Wednesday, June 29th, which would be next month, focusing on extending Pure Cloud via the API. And so that would be a great webinar to attend to better understand the API's capabilities and a couple of kind of live use cases that we've developed to kind of showcase that. But in terms of data management perspective, leveraging the bridge server for that, I'll absolutely bring that into the conversation next month as well. So yeah, look for the last week of June. Great timing. And for any of our friends going to Interactions this year, which is Interactive Intelligence, is an annual conference, I'll be presenting in a similar fashion there on the API. Looks like I got a question from Delta Dental. Would you please send it to me? I assume that's the feature matrix. I'm happy to, absolutely. Okay, I'm not seeing anything further. Got a couple minutes left if anybody has any additional questions. Great questions so far. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining. I appreciate your time as always. Look forward to joining additional webinars in the future. But once again, thanks for carving out some time for us. We really appreciate it. Take care and have a great day.